Dun, 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 dun.
We do have music.
We do have music? Because this is one of my questions for you. So welcome to On the Lane podcast. This is our first episode, so we'll see how it goes. I'm Jay Bruce, and I'm joined by Craig Jeffrey, who's a ruling elder at Carriage Lane Presbyterian Church. So Craig, why the name On the Lane for a podcast?
Well, it's not that creative. The church is called Carriage Lane, which is located on Carriage Lane in Peachtree City. So we thought it would be On the Lane, and that's it.
All right, and I'm going to go off script here and ask you, what kind of intro music are we going to have for the On the Lane podcast?
So our music minister has a piece of work that he played.
No way. For real?
Yeah, so when people are hearing us talk now, they'll say...
Alex Trigstad, did he write something for the podcast, or did you...
I think it's something he already had written, but he played a piece and
said,
created
let's
a script
go
for
with
us.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Is it on the piano or...
These are hard questions.
Instruments?
I wasn't sent
banjo?
I wasn't sent these questions ahead of time.
All right. So what is the purpose?
It was not the banjo. It definitely
I like the banjo. So what is the purpose of On the Lane?
Well, when people do podcasts, they're supposed to have a single purpose or focus, but we have three, and the listeners can decide over time if we broke the mold and it worked or it was terrible. But there was three purposes. Introducing and welcoming people is one, teaching is the second, and apologetics is the third. So, introducing and welcoming people is geared for people in the area who may not have a church home. They may be moving to the area and want to learn more about churches. Generations are, people in different generations are more inclined to do some research ahead of time by listening and finding. And so we want to warmly welcome people, invite them to church, and recognize those people that do research may want to hear a little bit more. And so this is one avenue for them.
What if somebody said, as somebody already said to me, doesn't the world have enough podcasts as it is? Why now? Why us?
Yeah, so are there too many podcasts? I guess we'll see if there's too many. There's certainly a lot. You can't consume them all, but when you're done listening to Joe Rogan, maybe there's something in particular that makes sense here. But the beauty of it is it's something that's available for people to use, if and when they want to learn about theology or about Carriage Lane, or about Christ. And so this provides the opportunity. Someone's looking for a church, there's an opportunity for that. And on the teaching side, we have a lot of teaching from sermons to Sunday school classes for kids, for adults. But this is just another method of helping to educate and inform the church that can be done while you're traveling, working out, wherever it makes sense for you. Allows people to consume content that's not time-bound.
Absolutely. And our hope is not to have 100 million followers, subscribers, or whatever. But if we can reach a handful of people, then that's enough for me. If there is one widow at Carriage Lane who is looking for us to provide her with more content that she can enjoy at home, then that's good enough. So that I think that, some people have high ambitions where they say from Peachtree City to the world, but we can just say we want to reach people where they are and give what we have to give.
It is kind of a humble goal, not this is going to hit the top of the charts. Someone said, why are you doing a podcast that might teach? When someone just go to Ligonier Ministries or somewhere else, it's like they can go wherever they like and in whatever format makes sense. So that's why we've done it.
And I don't know about you, but sometimes there are, if I could call it, providentially random things that I come across or somebody sends to me that it's actually really, really good. It's thought-provoking. It's full of insights. And sometimes the more local podcast can actually be more interesting to me than a podcast that's gained at a quote-unquote global audience. But who would be your ideal consumer of the On the Lane podcast?
One would be members, church men, church women of Carriage Lane, just to continue to grow. The others would be those who are, maybe exploring Christianity or looking for a church home, moving to the area. Those would be others. And then on the apologetic side, which is where we give a reason for the hope we have in Christ, that it would be an opportunity for people to hear a defense of the faith and encouragement of what is the gospel? What does that mean? Sometimes that can be very either off-putting or out of reach for people. And so having a natural conversation where someone can listen in, that would be the third group. So yeah, we diluted it to 3 different ideal people, but that's what we came up with. So
absolutely. And where can people find the podcast? Hopefully because they're listening, somehow they got it, but what are the different places we hope to place the podcast?
Yeah, so you can find it on our church website. It'll be there. We'll have an embed code that lets you listen to it. But wherever you listen to podcasts, we hope to have it there. So we use a syndicated platform to push it out, whether you're on your Android phone, your Apple phone, you're listening to it on your computer, wherever you like to consume that content. So on your smartphones, there's apps that exist for you to listen to podcasts. So search for On the Lane or Carriage Lane or things like that. You can find it, or search for Carriage Lane, the website, and you'll see some of the links to find it there.
Is this the point where I say, and if you like the podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star review and hit the subscribe button so that you can help other people find us. And if you didn't like the podcast, then forget I said anything.
That would be the exact point for that. Yeah, so because there's so many different channels that it's on, it's really important if people like it to select or to put some comments that they find helpful on there. And I think we'll have a spot in the show notes. So if you're on the application, you can see some commentary that there would be a way to communicate with us if you have any particular ideas.
And so that would be, will we be, when I say we, I mean you or somebody else, be monitoring the comments so that are we going to have like a little email address, or is that when we hit our 5 subscriber number that we actually like comments at Carriage Lane, or that would be fun. On the Lane.
Yeah, that's in section 6 of our 100-page document plan. We'll probably have an email address. We don't have one right now. I'll say, through the magic of flexing time, we'll probably be able to have an email address, OTL at Carriage Lane. We'll be able to have that before the podcast comes out, so people are like, that's amazing.
Do you want OTL?
On the Lane? What do you think it should be?
Well, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
On
yeah,
the
we
Lane.
could have OTL merch. Or am I getting ahead of myself here?
You are getting ahead
humble
of everybody.
goals, Craig. Humble goals. And then when we have our merch.
I would say most likely there will not be merch.
Okay.
But if there ever has to be merch, then we'll come back to this.
OTL at ATL?
Jay had a vision and Craig was short-sighted, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for introducing us to On the Lane, and happy, I don't know what to say. Happy days.
Well, thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next time.
Shouldn't we have some kind of like as the wagon wheel clicks away, thanks for joining us on the lane.
Thanks for joining us on the lane.
Thanks for joining us.
See you around the lane.
See you around the lane.
There we go. See you around the lane. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Jay.